If there are three things kids love, it's robots, dinosaurs, and badass anti-heroes. And who better to tick all those boxes than everyone's favorite robo-barbarian, Grimlock. Old Grimmy was released for the Studio Series line, which was originally intended to celebrate the live-action films. But since he had a prominent role in the 1986 animated movie, Hasbro was able to give him and a dozen other characters brand new screen-accurate toys. Unfortunately, as much as I love Grimlock absolutely demolishing Sharkticons and literally kicking Nektocks' ass,
Me, Grimlock, kick butt!
there was also the point when the writers dumped him down tremendously. Unlike my previous review, which started with Prime in his vehicle mode, which was how he was packaged, we will start Grimlock in his robot mode, which was how he was packaged. And honestly, I'm in love. This Grimlock is probably the most accurate representation we've ever got, for general retail that is, and is essentially a lower cost evolution of his masterpiece toy released 12 years prior. There is one inaccuracy, however, but it's one I like. The cartoon model's colors are a bright yellow and lighter shade of gray, while the Studio Series opts for a dark gray and burnt gold instead. Personally, I like this change. It hews much closer to the original toy, and the gold stands out from other characters with the yellow in their design, like Bumblebee, Sunstreaker, or Brawn. Plus, I feel bright colors just don't fit Grimlock, what with being a brutish anti-hero. One issue I did have though is the plastic plate covering his chest is made from a dark, smoky material, which obscures his Autobot badge. Although I will admit, thematically it does work, what with Grimlock's character arc about secretly being a good guy despite his bad boy image. As for his articulation, ball joint at the head with not that great up and down movement, shoulders that extend outwards and rotate 360 degrees on the ratchet joint, one of them much looser than the other. The forearms rotate on a swivel, while his elbow can swivel this far. Strangely enough, he has tabs on each elbow, mostly to keep the beast mode legs stable. Does that mean the Dino mode doesn't have knee joints? Far from it. In fact, you can access them in robot mode, thanks to a reportedly fragile faux ratchet joint. Hasn't broken on me yet, but I make no promises. With this joint, Grimlock can now perform the most caveman of actions, scratching his own ass. His Dino mode toes can bend inward, but unfortunately not outward. The hand can rotate 360 degrees, by the way. Due to his transformation, the kibble from his Dino mode also has some articulation. The wings, which form the Dino mode's torso, can swivel up and down as well as in and out, giving the arms more clearance. And speaking of arms, his T-Rex arms are mounted on a ball joint with swiveling elbow joint. But since they're useless in robot mode, I mostly use it to adjust his look as best as I can. What with the floppy wings? Swiveling waist, beautiful spread. The legs are on a very soft ratchet joint. Can move this far forward and this far backward. And finally, he's got a nice inward ankle tilt, making him probably the only Transformer I own capable of the Van Damme split. All in all, Grimlock's got a surprising amount of articulation for a bot of his size, as well as very solid despite the loose shoulder. Speaking of size, Siege Prime, G1 Prime, Cybertron Prime, Classics Mirage, Classics Megatron, and King Goji. Like the rest of the Studio Series G1 characters, Grimmy here is designed to scale and interact with the characters and systems for War for Cybertron trilogy, such as 5mm ports, which he has 6, and blast effects, which he does not have. What he does have though is a blaster, or as the package calls it, a Galaxial rocket launcher, a backdrop showcasing one of the greatest scenes in cinematic history,
Me, Grimlock, no bozo, me king!
and last but not least, a Wheelie minifigure. Yay? If you don't know, there are some fans who really dislike Wheelie, as he's often boiled down to being an annoying, rhyming replacement to Bumblebee. But in a franchise of probably thousands of characters, you need a way to stand out. But I've always liked Wheelie, as he's also depicted as less a tag-along kid or a little buddy like Bumblebee, and more as a rugged survivalist stranded on a hostile planet. Moving on. For articulation, Wheelie's got a ball joint head with only a little bit of movement. The right arm can move out that far and has no elbow joint. Slingshot is removable, but since Grimlock can't use it, there's no real point. Left arm's permanently bent at an angle and bends at the side, which lets him aim his slingshot, but only at the right. Waist can spin 360 degrees. Okay spread. Legs are permanently bent, so when he's not busy falling down, he looks like he's taking a big dump. All in all, Wheelie's not so much an extra figure for Grimlock to interact with, and more or less an accessory for his Dino mode. Speaking of, first off, rotate the head. You don't have to do that, but it's just my personal preference. Untab the Dino head and move it and the wings out of the way. Move the arm upwards. Untab the hand and fold it inwards. Pull the calf off the leg, fold the heel, untab the leg and fold onto the tabs in the butt, fold the tail out, move the former calf onto the tail, press the legs together, untab the chest, fold the chest down and tab onto these little ports, move the dino legs down, push the robot head down, maneuver the wings so they sort of clamshell around the head and torso, press them together, tab the dinosaur head onto the newly formed torso, swivel the head down, and we're done. Here we have Grimlock in his iconic yet paleontologically inaccurate T-Rex form. Honestly, as much as I love prehistoric plants with scientifically accurate T-Rex, there's something timeless about a tail-dragging prehistoric monster lumbering menacing towards hapless victims. However, there are some flaws with the mode. First off, the head and neck. Looking from the left and front, ignoring the missing gap in his teeth, he looks good. But looking from the right and yeah, he's got 2 big screw holes. Nothing I can do about it. Another thing I can't do about is the tail. One issue many Transformers toy engineers and third-party engineers face is that they're not only designing a good-looking posable action figure, but also a good-looking alternate mode, and a means of converting between the two. In other words, a good puzzle, and most of the time they prioritize the robot mode, as seen with Grimlock's tail. Being made out of his robot legs, which were built to support this big bitch. The tail was made short and stubby so it could fold into the legs for the sake of cartoon accuracy, which, while I appreciate that, I really wouldn't have minded the extra kibble. As for articulation, the head can move up that far, the jaws can open very wide, complete 360-degree spin. As previously mentioned, the arms are mounted on a very stiff ball joint, while the elbow has a fairly good swivel joint. The fingers can't bend, but really, fingers aren't why we love a T-Rex. Beautiful spread thanks to the robot arms forming the dino legs. Complete rotation at the hips. The legs have double hinge joint thanks to the dino mode knee and the robot mode elbows. Complete leg rotation. Toes can close in and out, and that's about it. Like most beast modes, Grimlock has pretty basic but perfectly serviceable articulation. In fact, it's entirely possible to pose him vertically, and he's actually quite a long boy, nearly a foot long. Speaking of size, Siege Prime, G1 Prime, Cybertron Prime, Classics Mirage, Classics Megatron, and King Goji. Grimlock's a little shorter than I like, but it's no big deal. Again, another compromise for the robot mode, and even then he's still taller than Optimus, so it's a win. As for additional features, Grimlock has a little bit of weapon storage. On the left side of the blaster are 2 thin tabs which can plug into the corresponding ports on the base of his tail. You can also store the gun onto either of his T-Rex arms in robot mode if you so please. I would have mentioned this earlier, but I forgot about the feature. Another feature I neglected to mention is that Wheelie can sit on Grimlock's shoulders/thighs thanks to a rather unsightly peg on his left thigh. While he can sit on either shoulder, he's obviously meant to be sitting on the left rather than the right. Honestly, he looks better riding Grimlock's neck in Dino mode. This is accomplished by 2 pegs located on either side of Grimlock's neck, and a hole on both sides of Wheelie's heels. I couldn't really get his toes to face forward unfortunately, so you're gonna have to accept the big gaping holes in his legs. And that's about the extent of Wheelie's functionality. While the stubby tail, loose shoulder, and limited beast articulation was slightly disappointing, overall I would 100% recommend a purchase for fans of Grimlock, the movie, or Generation 1 in general. $4.99 may seem pricey to the uninformed, but I can assure you, when it comes to collecting Transformers, it can get way, way worse. A big, solid, chunky boy with excellent articulation, great sculpting, and oozing with nostalgia. Grimlock would make an excellent addition to any collection. I hope you enjoyed this latest review. A like and subscribe would be most appreciated. I not only review toys, but also play video games. You can catch me every Sunday and Monday at 6 PM Pacific Time. This is Nektocks, signing out!